Oh, I like that kind of music.
Yeah.
The countdown there and ding, 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 ding. That's good. Well, welcome to another edition of Something to Talk About. How are you?
How are you doing? Glad to be back.
I'm doing good. It's obviously a little too cool here to be sitting out by the pool, so Vaughn is on the inside today.
Yep.
It's a little breezy out there, but actually it feels pretty good.
Yeah, I think it feels great. But you know me, I like it when it starts getting cooler.
And I always know the weather is better because the dog actually wants to walk a little bit further. Doesn't want to just go out, do her thing, turn around and come back home. She actually took a nice long walk this morning.
Oh, good for her. Good for her. And she just had a birthday, right?
She just had a birthday. We had a great time. It was her 9th birthday. And Daddy took her out for breakfast first. And we had a little bit of sausage, a turkey sausage, and we had some toast and scrambled eggs. And then we went for another little walk. Then we had lunch together. And then later in the evening, Mommy and Daddy took her out for tacos.
Oh are you kidding me? That is so funny. She eats tacos?
Well, she eats the chips. And then I had quesadillas, so naturally I got to peel off some of the flour tortilla to give to her. And of course, she came home and went into the family room and immediately collapsed in the middle of the rug.
Yeah, she slipped into a food coma.
We all did that day.
Well, it sounds like you had a full day of snacking.
We did.
Did she get any presents?
Well, her present was just being with us and eating all day.
Yeah, exactly. Do you ever go through those drive-throughs where, anywhere, like a bank or somewhere, where if they see that you have a dog in your car, they'll give her a special treat?
Not only that, but anytime that I go, even when I go to the bank to the ATM, to make a little cash withdrawal, she's on my lap looking out the window because she thinks there's somebody there that's going to give her a treat.
Yeah.
But yes, anytime we go to the bank and make a deposit and the little drawer comes out, she's looking down there, where is it?
Oh, yeah.
And we just found an ice cream place here in Frisco that gives free doggy sundaes.
Oh, where's that?
It's called Brewster's. It's at 423 in Main Street. And they great yogurt and fresh made ice cream. And they have all kinds of really neat creations, but they give the doggies a little cup with a scoop of ice cream and a doggy bone.
Oh, that's cute.
Inside it.
That's cute.
She looked at it and her eyes, boing.
Oh, yeah. That's so cute. Well, I saw your post on Facebook and I just thought to myself, that is just one lucky dog.
Well, and that was a picture that we took years ago when we went back to the Florida Keys where we got Shayna, and that was her sister that was in that picture. And it was actually our friends who got their cockapoo. We went over to visit with them on a weekend and saw the puppy, and I fell in love. And we called the breeder the next day, and they had one female left, and from the litter, and we said, "No, you don't. We'll take her."
So you say she's 9 years old?
9 years old, yeah. So she's like pretty much almost senior citizen now.
Yeah,
just like her parents.
I just came back from the mountains, as you know, and my parents have 2 cats, and one of their cats is 17 years old.
Wow.
17 years old. So he's 119. But he looks like he's 17 years old. I mean, he's doing well and he's not in any pain, and he's eating, and he's eating well and drinking and sleeping well and all that. He could still hop up on chairs, but he is 17 years old / 119 years old.
Yeah. That's
he looks like an old man. He looks like an old man. His back hind legs are a little kind of tucked in. I mean, like just kind of, I don't know, skinny. I don't know how to explain.
Listen, sweetheart, if you were 119 years old, your legs would be a little too.
Exactly. Exactly. But he's doing great, and it's really, really cute because the other cat is a younger cat, and he in when they first got together, it was a little kitten with an older cat, and the little kitten can sometimes be just very annoying because the little kitten always wants to just kind of play and whatever. And the other older cat would just kind of tolerate the behavior, and then they kind of just grew together and they coexisted very nicely. Well, now what's interesting is that the younger cat has started to almost take care of the older cat. Like if the older cat is sleeping on the bed or anywhere, the younger cat will kind of just look for the older cat and lay by the older cat, sometimes bathe the older cat.
Yeah.
It's totally changed its behavior. And we really think that he respects the older cat. He's caring for the older cat. He's very aware of the cat being old. And it's interesting behavior to see how it's kind of changed over the years, their relationship.
Yeah, I think vets all often will say that as one pet gets older, not when they are in their final years or so, but as they start to get older, it's a good time to introduce a new younger animal because it's better for that kind of transition. But it helps make the older animal still feel a little bit younger.
Yep, absolutely. I completely agree. And I think that's what happened in this case. But yeah, he's doing pretty well. He's about to head to Houston on a long car trip, so we're hoping that they usually just go to sleep in the car, but they're driving because they can't fly the cats right now, so they're driving the cats back across the country. So
well, you had some good times up there in the mountains too, because you got some good news for the family, didn't you?
We did. We do. We did. And we do. We do. And we did. And we done.
You did.
We did. We done. Yeah. Matthew, my oldest, proposed to his girlfriend Jenna, and she said yes. And so we have a new member of the family coming in whenever. Don't know. Don't have the details yet, but we were thrilled to be able to all be together to celebrate the engagement. And we were in my happy place, the beautiful mountains in North Carolina. And it was perfect. It was wonderful. And we put together just a really fun evening, and it was all a surprise. Obviously they had talked about getting married, but she didn't know when and where the actual proposal would happen. And I think sometimes when couples kind of talk about getting married, and a lot of times even the girl will have a say in the design of the ring and whatnot. And, but I think what happens then is she never really knows when it's going to happen. So say, for example, they're just going to go to a nice dinner one night. She might be thinking, is tonight the night? Or if they're going to go on a weekend getaway, is this going to be the time? So I think that, she knew that it would be coming. She just didn't know when. And she thought that it might be in the mountains. But the thing of it is, we didn't do it. Matthew didn't do it right away. So we've been there, we got there on a Saturday, and he didn't propose until the, Thursday. And our vacation was over on Sunday. So she was thinking, okay, well, it's not going to happen here, which is, because we vacation in the mountains anyway. And so we all went to the mountains to vacation. So she thought, okay, well, so this is just a family vacation. And then he, surprised her, and we had a whole evening set up for them, and, whatever. I won't go into the details, but it was nicely done. And Matthew, it went perfectly. And then we had flown her parents in from California, and she did not know that her parents were going to be there. So when
the parents were there for the announcement.
Yes, for the announcement. Yeah, Matthew, they went to a place called the Greystone. It's a lovely hotel in Lake Toxaway, and a very small, kind of an old stone hotel. It's like over 100 years old. It's beautiful, and beautiful grounds, and you've got the lake and the trees in the back. It's just gorgeous. So he went off and did his proposal, and then back at the house, we had gone to the airport, picked up the parents, brought them to the house. and they were there then when they got home.
Oh, she must have been surprised to
Well,
know that.
what we did is we had cake and champagne set up at the table with some flowers and just little decorations. And so the parents went upstairs, and the stairs kind of come down. You can see them. Anyway, they were upstairs, and the kids came. They had taken the golf cart to dinner, so they came in from the back and came upstairs, and we were excited, and we said congratulations, and we were hugging and looking at the ring and giving hugs and all this. And Phil starts to pour the champagne, and the plan was that there would be 2 glasses left on the table. And then I said, wait a second, why are there 2 extra glasses left on the table? And right about that time, that was the cue for Jenna's parents to come down. I said that, and all of a sudden Greg, Jenna's father, says, well, hey, wait, we like champagne. And literally we were looking at Jenna. I mean, her knees buckled. She almost went down. She was absolutely very, very surprised. I mean, they had come all, like I said, Lake Toxaway is not that easy to get to, but coming from California, they had to get up at like 3 a.m. and fly through Dallas and then get to Asheville and then drive up to the mountains. So it was no easy trek, but it was just absolutely wonderful that they could be a part of it. And then, of course, me and Phil were there, and Emily and Elizabeth were there, and my parents were there because it's their house. And so it was a big celebration, and we're just tickled pink. We love her. She's super, super sweet and funny, and yep, she's
sounds like a movie script. Really,
well,
it sounds like it was very, very well planned, and I'm sure I know who had a lot to do with that planning.
Who?
You.
Me, yes, but also Emily. I thought you were going to say.
Well, yeah, Em too, but
and Emily and Elizabeth too. But Emily just, she just gets into. She works for a wedding company, a wedding planning company, whatever they're called. But
yeah,
and so she just loves that kind of stuff. But anyway, yeah. In fact, she's the one that got the pictures, and so she, we were laughing because she had to go and hide behind this stone wall and wait for Matthew and Jenna to come down. And then when she knew things were starting to happen, she kind of snuck around and kind of did an army crawl over and started snapping right away as it was happening. And so she got some good pictures too. But yeah.
Have they kind of given any thought as to when they're going to get married?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't even, so the proposal happened Thursday, and then we kind of were busy Friday, Saturday. We didn't really talk, and then details. And then we left Sunday, and I haven't seen them since then. So I don't know the details yet. I don't know, but I would assume that they're going to want to wait until they're free to have a wedding without so many restrictions, because I know, and you and I kind of texted back and forth a little bit about this. I know people who've gotten married during these times, and they can't, maybe they can't hire a band and they can't even go on taste the cake because that company is not allowing tasting during that whatever, and they can't have an indoor wedding and have to be an outdoor, and they have to maybe have a limited number of guests, whatever the restrictions might be. Obviously right now it's a little bit more challenging to just kind of like have all your options open while planning a wedding. So I'm guessing that they're going to want to wait until, we don't have so many COVID restrictions.
Right. Yeah. Not knowing. I mean, now is the time at least to look at venues and maybe have that set aside. But I have a cousin who was supposed to get married like 8-9 months ago, and because of the COVID, they pushed it back until August, thinking, oh well, this should be over by August. Well, we got into the summertime and realized that wasn't going to go away, and so now they've postponed it until next year. And,
wow.
And again, that's another issue too, is because now you're taking all of this year's events and you're trying to now reschedule them for next year when you've got all of next year's events coming on board now too. It was interesting because you had mentioned that your sister had attended a virtual wedding, and
Yeah.
that must have been pretty unique. Did she give you all the particulars on how that went?
Well, no, but we were talking, and she said that she was going to, to attend her first Zoom wedding. I can only assume that it was similar to another friend of mine who went to attended a virtual shower, a baby shower, and
Uh-huh.
it was also on a like Zoom, and everybody, it's just what you can imagine. Everybody's on the screen, and you've got you've got the one person opening the gifts, and it's just on the screen. So I'm assuming the wedding was, you watched it, and I don't know if you could see guests or not. Maybe you only could see just the wedding and the wedding party, and you were just kind of watching it on your computer. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the platform that they were using too, because sometimes you can be watching the wedding full screen. You see all the attendees around the edges and all. They can do split screen and show the minister talking and the reaction to the bride and groom. Some of them are very sophisticated. Some of them are very simple, but it's amazing what we've learned to do that we can do when we can't do what we normally would do.
Yeah. But what confuses me though is then you have other people who actually have a real wedding. Like, I mean, I shouldn't say a real wedding, it's real, but I mean a face-to-face, like an in-person wedding or whatever. Because then I have another friend who went to Nashville to attend her niece's wedding, and it was in person. I do believe that they limited the number of guests,
right?
And perhaps they were social distance in their seating arrangement. I don't know that to be for certain, but again, you have got some people that do the in-person experience, and then other people do it virtually.
And you have to make concessions as to whether you're going to do it indoors or outdoors.
Indoors or out, yeah. So, but I mean, but again, it's just inconsistent in terms of what is what's the word I'm looking for? What is considered responsible, maybe, I guess, or safe? I don't know. Like, again, you've got this bride and groom who, my sister, who they wanted to do it virtually, Zoom wedding, whatever. And then you have other people who are doing their weddings in person. So I don't know. I guess, again, it goes back to what you and I've been saying for months now. Perhaps it's just a personality thing in terms of how people, react and deal with this whole thing and live under these circumstances.
And I can understand if somebody says, look, we're going to make all these concessions to make sure that the tables, instead of it being a table of 10 or 12, and it's just going to be a table maybe of 4 with good social distancing, and you do all of that. But then you have to keep in mind how many people on your list of invitees are going to say, well, you know what, but I'm just afraid to get on an airplane and to fly there for the wedding. So, we're going to do it. So virtually sometimes is the way to do it, because that way you don't have to leave anybody out.
Yeah.
People can from across the country can be a part of it and see what's going on and share it. I just, this past week, virtually, Lauren and I were invited to the swearing in of a cousin of ours who was sworn in as an associate judge in the state of Illinois, to one of the courts in Illinois. And so they did the ceremony virtually. There were a few people that were there for the swearing in, but we all got to watch it online. And it was very, very interesting and very, very satisfying to know that we were at least there.
Right. Oh, that's really neat. Yeah.
So you do what you got to do.
You do what you got to do. Well, but I do think that for us personally, I think that our kids will most likely hold out as long as they can until they're not having to deal with so many restrictions and guidelines, and
Now, Jenna is Jenna out of school, or she's in her last year?
Oh, no, she's been out now about a year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Matthew graduated a couple years ago. She graduated the following year. So they've both been out now.
Yeah.
Living on their own, doing their own thing.
Wasn't she in the media, studying to be in the media or something?
Yeah. Production, I guess, and she's she produces in production, editing, all that. I can't even really give it justice with my explanation. So yeah, she is, and that's what she's currently doing, and living up here in Dallas. She was down in Waco, but now up here, and so of course Matthew's still at his, so yeah,
Right.
and her family's all still out in California, and so they'll head out there. They'll make their rounds of announcing and celebrating, but most of their people are here. Most of the, when you go to school, even if you're from California or wherever, where you go to school, like you usually,
You start to form those friendships.
Exactly. So most of her friends, really, both of them are here in the Dallas Fort Worth area, and Houston and Austin and some surrounding towns, but Texas. So my guess is that most likely it will be a Texas wedding, but that's just my guess. I really haven't talked or heard details yet. I think they're still just kind of enjoying just celebrating the engagement, and then they'll have to get to work on the wedding. Yeah, exactly.
You got the time, and the best advice that I could give is, you don't have to be in a rush. Wait until this whole, virus issue is behind us. Everybody is safe. Everybody's inoculated and all, and everybody can feel comfortable with traveling and getting together the way a wedding should be celebrated.
Right. Yeah.
So that's good news.
Yeah. We were very excited. And my parents were thrilled to be a part of it. And, they just thought it was just so funny because they're in their 80s, and the way we kind of did this engagement is certainly not what they did, back in that day. And even really back when Phil and I got engaged, there were no picture. It wasn't all this whole picture thing. We just kind of went to brunch, and he asked me, and that was the end of it. We just didn't have all these pictures. But now, and we didn't even do that much here. But sometimes you look on Facebook or wherever, and you see these engagements that could be like a movie. I mean, it's just like, that
they jump out of airplanes or hot air balloons, and
they're on the beach, and they've got professional photographers, and it's like, what the that's just the engagement. And so no, we didn't do all that, but some people do, and it's a big deal. So my parents were just thinking it was great and fun to watch, but they were like, my gosh, this is the planning and getting
right.
So but it was cute. And we asked Matthew if he was nervous, and he actually he wasn't too nervous. He had he was going to actually ask her on the kind of like a deck near the marina, and it had slats, and then he was on the water, and I just said, God, just be careful with that ring. Could you imagine fumbling it?
And right between the slats.
Yeah. So I just was like, oh gosh, I could just see that ring going down. Well, we traveled with the ring. Matthew didn't. We actually traveled. We all flew out there, but we had the ring in Phil's briefcase because Matthew didn't want Jenna to come upon the ring accidentally, or maybe going through security, they dig through his bag or whatever. So we had the ring. So, I was just so paranoid, and I just kept saying to Phil, did you check the ring? He's like, I did. It's in there. I go, just touch it. It was in a box. I said, just touch the ring. Okay, I could feel the box. And then a little bit later, just touch the ring again. Touch the ring. I was just so nervous. He's like, where do you think the ring has gone, Vaughn? I just touched the box. It's at the bottom of the briefcase. So I was just like, well, I don't want to be the one traveling with this ring. But anyway, we got the ring there, and the ring made it home. So we're good.
what were the circumstances when you and Phil got engaged?
Oh my gosh. Like, well, yeah, I don't know. It was one Sunday morning and we were going to go to brunch, and I don't know why Phil did this, but he pulled up in this area along the bayou, which is very pretty. There are pretty sections of the bayou in Houston, Buffalo Bayou. And we pulled in, and he later told me that that's where he was going to ask me. But when we pulled in, I made a snarky comment. I guess I was like, well, what are we doing here? Like, well, I don't remember exactly what I said, but then he's like, well, okay, I'm not asking her here, and drives away. And then we went to brunch, and he asked me just over a nice, wonderful Sunday brunch. And I mean, we didn't have fireworks or anything. Well, I meant literally, we didn't have the whole show, but yeah, so it was simple and sweet. It was nice. Yeah. What about you?
Well, did I ever tell you the story of Lauren and I? We were working together. We had met, and I was in the retail business with my parents, and we had a fashion store, and I was working in the shoe departments, setting up the shoe department and getting that going. And Lauren came into the business and was working with us, and we had gone out and we started talking about getting engaged, and went to some, I went to some jewelry stores to get an idea. And finally she said, that's the kind of ring that I would like. And also I had to play games and get a hold of a current ring that she was wearing to get the size. Anyway, got the ring, and I had planned on having a nice romantic dinner and doing something silly like putting it in a cake or, the dessert or whatever. And she'd put her fork into it and
Right.
clink, clink. Well,
Right.
I couldn't wait. And one afternoon we were working at the shoe department. We went back into the stock room, and right in front of the navy blue pumps, I pulled out the ring and I said, "Would you marry me?" And I gave her the ring in the storeroom, in the storeroom in front of the navy blue section.
That's really funny. That's funny. Oh, that's cute.
Then we went out for dinner on Saturday night, and she wore the ring, and everything was very, very nice. But the actual proposal was in a shoe stock room.
I think that's great. Hopefully now, Navy pumps.
They have a special significance.
That's right. That's cute. Now, did you ask her father?
Yes.
Blessing? You did?
Absolutely, yeah. I had talked with him ahead of time, and I had an edge because our families knew each other. Our fathers both went to school together, grew up together, so they knew each other. And so when I went to talk to her father, I mean, he was in tears because he was thrilled that our two families were going to now be one.
Oh, I love that.
So it was very, very nice.
Well.
And that was 46 going on 47 years ago.
Oh, that's how long you're almost to gold, right?
Yeah. We're getting close.
I'm sneezing. Sorry. I actually do have allergies, and I don't know if it's ragweed or what, but it seems to be bad today. Okay, so
for our 50th anniversary, I'm going to try and go back to that store and see if that stock room is still there, and maybe we'll just have a nice 50th anniversary dinner in the shoe stock room in the navy blue section.
Well, is the store still there?
I don't think so. I think they tore that mall down.
Well, okay, but for 50 for golden, what's the golden anniversary?
Yep.
What kind of gifts would you do for the golden anniversary, whatever it's?
Well, if it doesn't have something to do with jewelry, I'm going to be in the doghouse probably.
Yeah. So it's going to have to be something.
I'm sure it's going to be jewelry related.
Yeah, it's going to be good, and then she'll have to do the same.
Yep. Yeah, but it's funny because I don't wear much jewelry at all.
Yeah,
but
I don't actually either. I don't either, but
she does.
Lauren does like to wear a lot. Yeah.
Oh yeah, she likes her jewelry.
She's probably listening to the show right now, thumbing through some catalogs, gonna get you some ideas. So wait, you're 47 or 48?
Well, next summer it'll be 47.
Oh, next summer will be 47.
Yeah,
You got some time.
yeah.
Well, anyway, I do hope that the kids today, like I know a lot of kids who postpone their weddings um, during this whole time here, but and a lot of weddings happened this year on 9/11 than normal or than usually happens on 9/11, just because people don't like that date anymore, really. But
Right.
it was one date that was very available to a lot of people. So actually, I bet if you look at the books since 9/11, since the 9/11, probably that date has not been a very well booked day for anniversaries or weddings. But this past year, I think a lot of people jumped on it just because they didn't have a lot of options, and if they didn't want to wait, they took what they could get. But
It was interesting that I saw that you know what the number one month is for engagements?
no, I don't.
What would you think that there are more people that get engaged in what month each year than any other month?
December.
You're right.
Oh,
Yep. And I kind of thought that it would have been around June because a lot of people get engaged like after college, that if they decide they're going to get engaged and then maybe get married the following summer and all, but December is the number one month for engagements. But I don't think that there is any particular month that stands out as the month for the most weddings. I think that it changes a little bit from year to year, but the summertime I think is still the easiest because that's vacation time. People can get married and go away on their honeymoons.
what month were you married in?
June.
You were June. We were September.
We met on June. We got engaged exactly 6 months after we met, and we got married exactly 1 year after we met.
That's fast.
So we.
When you know.
How long were you engaged before you got married?
Well, we were dating a couple years, and then we knew that we wanted to get engaged. But my sister Lauren and her husband announced their engagement, and so we didn't want to jump in their limelight, and so we waited another year, and then we got engaged. So 3 years we dated, yeah. But we would have done just 2 years, but I didn't, So my dad had 2 weddings back to back.
Oh,
I know. Yeah, I know. I mean, he had 3 daughters, and so 3 weddings, and yeah, he had me and Lauren back to back. Dara had been married, for a few years, but so it was a good, and then actually, so we dated 3 years, and I can't remember exactly when we got engaged. Maybe was it during that 3 years? I'm not sure, but our engagement was 9 months. We were actually engaged 9 months. So, and we didn't even really need that long. But nowadays, I'm telling you, to get venues and whatnot, you've got to start planning a year in advance. You really do.
Yeah. And I think that there are probably a lot of instances where young people say, well, when I get married, I want to get married here. So they go ahead and they book that, then they get engaged.
Yeah.
And I think it maybe I'm guessing, but I think there seems to be a shorter amount of time between engagements and weddings now, or I mean, meeting and dating and getting engaged and getting married. It's a short period of time. The old time where, we dated for 8 years or something. We got engaged and we're engaged for 2 or 3.
Sorry about that.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Hey, this is my show too.
He's sitting just with his back to me right now, but yeah. Gosh, I was getting finish what you were saying. I'm so sorry. I got
You know, I
distracted.
was just saying that, you know, it used to be you dated a long time. I mean, sometimes if you met in college, you dated for 4 years in college, then you got engaged after college, and you waited a couple of years until you got settled, then you got married. So it might have been 8 to 10 years from meeting until you got married.
Yeah.
It seems like it's a lot shorter period of time now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, yeah, well, I know I have kind of both sides of that because I also know somebody they got engaged while they were still in school. And I think one of them is working on the master's or whatnot. And so they're having a good long engagement just until they're both kind of where they want to be professionally. And so I guess it depends on the couple and
Yeah.
really how long you want to be engaged for. For me, I thought 9 months we wanted to get married in the fall and but 9 months was long enough, like, because we were able to plan everything early on, and we were getting married in the Catholic Church, so I wasn't like looking at some hard to get venue. Um, and we had the band and the food and the club. We were just going to the club afterward. It was not hard, and so really we were done planning the wedding very early on, and then we were just engaged for all. And so I thought, well, that was long enough, maybe a little too long for me, just because the planning of it was so easy. But when you're trying to do like you said, a venue that's a little bit harder to get into, and you've got to book it a year in advance, maybe it's a beach wedding and it's a very popular place where then you've got to maybe really be like a year out or whatever.
Right.
And that's another thing. Like, I don't know that I have been to some lovely outdoor weddings, but it's so risky. Those outdoor weddings are just so risky. And, what do you do if the weather, I mean, I don't know, but beach weddings are beautiful and outdoor weddings are fun. But they can be very, we had a friend who just had a wedding down in Destin about a year ago, and they barely got it in. There was a big, I don't remember what storm, but they did get the wedding in under cloudy skies, but it was beautiful. But again, I mean, especially like down there, hurricanes and whatever, and I don't know.
Yeah, we went to a lot of outdoor weddings when we lived down in the Keys, and most of the time the weather cooperated temperature wise and all, but you were always at the mercy of the wind.
Yeah.
And it always, even if it didn't rain, if it was a windy day with centerpieces on the tables and with canopies to get married under and all the chairs were usually covered with cloth in some way. If it was windy, boy, you were going to have a little bit of havoc there in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So think it's always safe to if it is at least at a venue where they do have the option that day they can quickly move you from outdoors to indoors.
Right.
Makes sense, but.
We had a friend who got married at whose daughter got married at the Biltmore, out on the grounds of the Biltmore in Asheville, and they made him rent the outdoor tent, and I mean, I'm talking one of those big enclosed,
right.
In the event that there was weather, that they would have a place for all the guests then to go, and he had to do it regardless, because they couldn't set it up last minute. So should the weather, and so he had to rent that regardless, just because if there's something happened at the last minute and all of a sudden the rains maybe during that time there was a chance, maybe if it's 100% chance sunny skies, you don't. But in his case, he had to, and they ended up not having to use it, but he had to have it, there in case. So. And I don't know, so added expense in that case, but also just the added level of stress, just outdoors. I don't know. So, but they can be beautiful. I've attended a couple beach weddings. I right here up the road in McKinney, a small town outside of Dallas. I attended a small wedding in the backyard of an old historical home, little white cute little white chairs and a little gazebo, and it was just so small but so charming, and that was outdoors. Um, I mean, I don't know. At this point, I've attended big weddings, small weddings, extravagant weddings, simple weddings, weddings at museums, weddings in backyards. um, I've attended a lot of weddings, and I yeah. So, but I've never attended one by Zoom. So that's my sister definitely did something that was interesting. I need to ask her about it actually.
Yeah, and that may still not be off the table.
I know, right? I don't know. We'll see, but
But
yeah.
well,
So
all things being equal, would you rather attend a small, intimate wedding or a nice, big, lavish affair like on a beach?
um,
Is the answer yes?
I know, right? They're so different. It's apples to oranges. I mean, but like, I mean, this I will. I've often talked about the one that I attended here in McKinney, which was very small and charming, and I thought it was just really very quaint and nicely done, and it was really neat. I really liked it. I talk about that one a lot. So if
Yeah,
I had to pick, I guess I'd say small and quaint. I don't know if I had to pick, but the
yeah.
big lavish ones, come on, those are fun too. So
And given that same scenario, I think I would probably go more for the smaller and quaint,
yeah,
because I'm not a big crowd person, and the the bigger the venue, it seems like the greater the chance for something to mess up.
right. Well, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I remember we I have been to a lot of weddings before where the buffet line is like they didn't consider how long it would take people to get through the buffet line, and that actually we knew prior to planning our own wedding. So my mother made sure that we had stations rather than just one long buffet line, and that way people could kind of disperse and not be all in one line. um, yeah, there are little things like that you have to just, from experience, share with the young couple. um, Give them some advice on kind of ways to, I don't know, make it an evening that's fun, and don't have these little problems. And I mean, nobody was, anyway, whatever. So little things like that. But the wedding itself, now they're in a totally different, now planning the wedding, there's a lot that goes into it, and obviously weddings can be very expensive.
Oh my gosh! I mean, you can buy a luxury car
I
for
know.
for the cost of a wedding, and like you said, there are it used to be the venue and the caterer and the band. Those were the three main considerations. Now you got to have the right florist. Do you cover the chairs or do you uncover the chairs when you're dealing with the centerpieces? Are the centerpieces low on the table so people can see over them, or do you make them 4 feet tall so you can see through them? And then the band, is it going to be small, intimate band, or is it going to be orchestra? Is it going to have dancers and backup singers? Is are you going
Yeah.
to include all kinds of specialty
The
things?
the videographer, and
Right. Not just
called.
yes. So there are a lot, and things like red carpet going into the venue.
Right.
You say, "Oh, it would be wonderful to get out of a limo and walk up a red carpet." And okay, that'll be $450 for the red carpet.
Exactly.
Uh,
Exactly. Yeah, but the one thing you don't want to do is overextend. I mean, I've heard stories of people going into their retirement fund to pay for the weddings, which is, um,
Well, and the other thing, and it's just a fact that there are so many people that will just go into that tremendous expense. Number one, because it's what the bride always dreamed of, and then 2, 3, 4 years later, the marriage crumbles, and that's what were those memories like?
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
So
Well,
anyway,
we'll get to that point. Right now, we're just still kind of celebrating the engagement. So we'll get to
you
that
got the
point ourselves.
euphoria. Congratulations to Matt and to Jenna and
Thank
all,
you.
and I think it's exciting, and I love the story about how you were able to all be together in such a scenic place and all, because that in itself is going to be a treasured memory.
Yeah, it was fun. Good times for sure.
Yep.
Memories.
So now it's on to the planning of the wedding stage, and we'll have to devote a show to when they start getting the plans going together. Then we'll have to devote a show to talking about that.
Yep, we will do that for sure.
All right. Well, good being with you again. You got to run off, and I might as well run off too.
It's gorgeous outside, so enjoy this beautiful day.
You got it. And we'll get together right here again next week. And in the meantime, everybody, have a great week. Be good to yourselves. Stay well. And we'll see you again right here for something to talk about next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.